companies. We'll put that together and work with the team. At the minimum, they are alerted to these companies, these individuals. At the minimum, we can put them in a blacklist. And if these guys happen to have other criminal records, because if they did that to a Philippine company, they probably would have done it somewhere along the way. And if there is already a legal claim, legal charge somewhere, then we can piggyback, or if not, at least initiate a pleading that will not make it impunity, that will not make impunity the norm. Dapat mahirapan din sila. Whether or not you can actually recover the proceeds is a matter of common sense, because as an SME, precisely because small, you have to do more due diligence instead of less.
Sir, will also, just a follow-up question, will it also work for like brokers, individuals who go from one company to one company, Manila, and then after that, they'll move to the provinces? Can we go to the Department of Justice and probably seek assistance in terms of deportation or filing case against this person, something like that?
Yeah. As I said, it becomes a question of prioritization, because between, let's say, $1,000 claim, $20,000 claim versus a child abuse case, we'll prioritize life over property anytime. But it becomes a modus operandi, becomes a long-term play on the health of the SME sector. If it's a modus operandi, a syndicate, then that will also be prioritized based on our other work stream. But hopefully, common sense should rule today, because if you go after all kinds of panoloco and fraud, then we leave out the important cases.
Sir, another one, sorry. In terms of the protection for our workers and protections of the companies as well, in terms of, because, you know, with such a big industry, there's a lot of people trying to take advantage. And these are, I say, you know, people working in our industry who will do a not so good, or what we call them, the bad apples. Those are people we have issues, probably did a fraudulent transactions, take some information about the customers or credit cards and things like that. Credit card happened. It happens in two centers that I know of. One of their agents used the credit card information of the client, purchased online, then that person went to another company and did the same thing. So is there a way that, or is it okay for our industry to have sort of a, I don't know, blacklist or of this rogue employees or bad apples in our industry? I guess
it's the same process, no? Let's say if you leave a company, you go to another company, you ask for references. No, I think it's a very same system, at the very least character reference or work ethic. But if a crime has been committed, I think the level is different. Because if you let a 6-year-old kid scratch your car because you don't pay a 50 peso parking fee, kung hayaan mo yon, it's part of the broken windows theory. When they grow up, it becomes an extortion mindset. No? So for an employee who does bad work, don't get a reference. That's one part. If you're an employee, regardless you're in contact center or in any other form, if you commit a crime, then that should be a cause of concern for the company itself. Because if you don't do that, if you just take it sitting down, you also don't know how many people that you have hired are actually criminals that were not reported. So if you're watching out for your narrow self-interests, for strictly private interest, commercial interest, it has long-term effect on everyone. It's a classic case of prisoner's dilemma, no? On a game theory basis. Kung hayaan mo yon, over time, hayaan natin lahat, then it becomes a problem industry-wide. So we might as well, grab the bull by its horns, but it's something that we can do. But we try to maintain confidentiality, so it's a reputational game. You don't have to go around telling everyone that this person is a suspect or an accused. But at the very least among the industry, we know how to do it. And if that is a concern, we could probably form a working group between contact center and DOJ. We can put up the system. You can put up an online reporting mechanism. We'd like to have a verification such that if two responsible officers of, say, contact center verified by IBPAP certifies that this complaint is done, then we just do a minimal verification. We can put that in a list of which people can sign up and check. And once probably we get 3 complaints, then we will endorse that to be included in the NBI system, and you will not get cleared. So these are some of the deterrents that we can move forward. No? Fraud, dishonesty is not allowable. Yung mga pasaway na behavior, over time, if we don't do anything about it, the potential for it to be translated to a wrongdoing, to a crime, is there. No, you don't become a criminal overnight unless it's a crime of passion. But economic crime is a deliberate. The trajectory is there. You have to look at the fraud triangle and try to control it. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary. I'll throw another question to Mr. Victor Lorenzo of NBI. Sir Victor, how easy is it for contact centers to actually file a complaint? Let's say it's a complaint of a agent or an employee that did a fraudulent activity at the workplace, whether he or she stayed or left the company. How easy is it to file a certain complaint? And I think Assistant Secretary also mentioned that in case that there are complaints that gets to be, let's say, if there are 3 complaints of that single person. So, sir, that also confirms that they are not provided an NBI clearance for employment when it reaches its 3rd time. Metrics that we can develop. Sir, Victor? Oh.
Sir, the guiding principle, sir, is that when you see that a fraudulent incident happened in your business and it is an organized approach, you must refer it with law enforcement. Otherwise, you will be targeted by other organized crime groups. If you think that the fraud happened in your company and it was participated by several employees, you must refer it to us. It will be very, very easy, sir, for you to be referring cases to us. And as I have mentioned again in my presentation,
Yes.
there are some checklists that you need
To prepare.
Yes. To make our life easier and to make
And the process
the process easier.
Yes. Thank you, Sir Victor.
Mish, I would like to probably add some practical solutions, no, to the question that Jojo asked. So first things first. So when that incident happened, when an agent, used a credit card, stole a credit card information and used it, and was able to apply it to another company, and was able to do it again. So we have to look at 2 things. Number 1 is that there's a failure of control. So remember, in information security in information security, there's what they call this a thing that is called layers of control. So meaning it's like, the analogy is like this: your house, right? So you have a village, a gated village. You have your own street, and then you have your own fence. Then you have your house, right? And then you have your door, and then you have your room, and then you have the door in your room. So in information security, that's an analogy for layers of security. So meaning the most precious, the most precious thing in your house, like your valuables, jewelry, money, should be stored in the most secure part of the house, right? So that's the same in your company. So you have to provide layers of control. So for example, if your company, even if you're a big company or a small company, if you're handling credit cards, you can always refer to the PCI standard. It's actually, the standard is free. The version now is version 3. The website is pci.org. If you just Google it later. So they would provide you, what they call this, not really steps, but different controls that you can implement in your company to protect your data life. For example, having a security policy, for example, that's one. Having routers and firewalls, for example. Not using, what they call this, passwords that were, that came along when you purchase servers, for example. Normally, it's like admin and password and blank. For databases, what's the the username, root, or yeah, the gentleman is correct, right? So don't use those common password, right, or common usernames. Normally, they would disable uh, such and such, what do you call this, feature. For example, if you're implementing Wi-Fi, you should use WPA2 and have WPA2 encryption with the password.
Yes.
And hide the SSID so that no one can just, browse the Wi-Fi and see it and log in. The second thing that I would like to point is that awareness is really the key, because if your staff is not aware on how to handle, how to protect the customer's information or data, there's already the risk there. Remember, you cannot eliminate risk. You can only minimize and mitigate them. So there's always risk. So I'll just give you one example of how you can probably do in checking the awareness of your employees in terms of information security. There's a company called FishMe. You can use that to. They will send phishing emails to your employees. Then they will provide you a report on how many employees responded to their phishing email. So that's one that you can use. So you can Google that later. They call it FishMe. So at the end of the day, it's really awareness. So I'll just give you one. I'm sorry if
Go
I'm
ahead,
I'll
please,
just give
Jay.
you one quick story. So back in 2006, I was in Puerto Galera with my friends. Hanging out. So we're a group of boys. There's a group of girls there. So we approached the girls. Saying hi, what's not. So there was a girl there, a lady there that provided only two information while we were talking. Just two information. And then a year later, I was trying to look for a car. I want to buy a car. And I was able to contact that lady just with that two information that she gave. I was able to contact her and ask her, hey, can you send me a proposal for this car loan? Because, hey, who's this again? Hey, this is Jay. I'm from Puerto Galera. You are Ren, right? Oh, how did you find me? Okay, so because you gave me two information. The information even doesn't include her phone number. So I'm just not trying to scare you, but be careful in giving out your information.
Thank you, Jay.
In an instance of insider's threat, how can we protect our organizations for the individual privacy privacy law? So how can we move forward in the investigation in such a way?
What do you mean, sir? Insider
Insider's
threat?
threat. Yeah.
Threat?
If somebody from our organization, we found out that we sort of somehow found out that he's doing something.
He gave a
Getting some information from our company, and how can we proceed in the investigation without protect our company in individual privacy law?
You mean, sir, he threatened the company or he threatened someone in the company?
It's an insider's threat, meaning getting some confidential information, storing it somewhere in his private, personal storage device. And if we're going to have an investigation, if he will ask him to provide that, and he will not, because of course it's his private property. How can we protect our organization in doing such investigation?
Sir, always remember that there's a level of privacy, level of expectation of privacy. You could not expect privacy in public. There's a minimal level of privacy in the workplace. And of course, if he will waive his right to privacy, you can conduct search on that employees.
If he will not waive his right to the privacy, how can we proceed with the investigation?
I don't know the specifics of that particular case, sir. But one thing is definite. If you will be confronted with that, you must initiate immediately an administrative inquiry, because the level of the requirement for protection in an administrative inquiry will not be that strict compared to a criminal investigation.
I think I can add some practical approach there. So this is where the importance of policy within the company is important. Say, for example, if that employee, when he was hired by the company, signed your information policy, information security policy, or unacceptable use policy document. And in that document, it stated that if, for example, you bring your own device, for example, like, external drives, thumb drives, the company has the right to, inspect or bar you from bringing it inside the workplace. Same goes if in the policy it says that any emails or any projects that you have done within the company, it's company property. The company has every right to actually get hold of that and investigate. From that point onward, that employee doesn't have any right to withhold the information from you. But please take note, in such investigation, there's one important factor that you need to actually remember. There's a thing that is called chain of custody. So meaning, for example, there's a hard drive, right, that where he dumped, or the files, the suspicious files or whatnot, information. Please make sure that the chain of custody of that drive, when it's being pulled out and handled, is documented in the sense that he cannot contest that, hey, that my hard drive was actually, tampered. They put the data there without my knowledge. So it's very important that the chain of custody is actually adhered. And then you could actually now, initiate your own internal investigation. You can do it internally or a third party. But if that employee signed that policy document, wala na siya magagawa. That's it.
Yeah, to add up on your question, yung premise kasi niyan is, how is the medium? What was the medium that the information was transferred? So, number one, was the computer company property? Second, was the network company property? And third, the actual data being transferred outside, it's also company property and more so client property. So from there, sir, you can launch a full-size investigation because that is actually company property. There's no breach ng personal property ng employee pagdating sa ganyang investigation.
And just to be sure, you must have a search policy in place. You can integrate that in security policy, IT policy, but as long as that provision will be indicated in any policy that you have, you will be on a safer ground.
I'll just give a practical solution also. I will not name any brands, but you can actually implement a data leak protection, software in your endpoints like desktop computers, and you can also implement DLP in your email gateways, so that when someone actually sends out or an email containing proprietary company information, from the gateway pa lang, hindi na lalabas yung email. And then a notification will be sent to you saying that Mr. Juan de la Cruz tried to send a PowerPoint presentation or an Excel spreadsheet to this address at this time, and then you can get notified. For the DLP solution on the desktop itself, even if they bring a thumb drive or a hard drive, if they plug it in, it won't be detected, right? Or there are some DLP softwares that can even actually check whether the file that he's trying to copy, assuming that the person is a laptop user, he is allowed to have his USB enabled and to use a USB thumb drive. There's a software that can actually check whether the file being copied contains a series of numbers that looks like credit card numbers, like 16-digit, or looks like social security number. So they can actually detect that and prevent that from being copied. And then it will have a report and then sent to you. So those are some practical applications.
And then, John, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to add. That is primarily one of the reasons why companies today implement virtual desktops. Because the thin clients of today doesn't have input devices. No, you cannot plug in a USB device or any storage device to get data. Data are all stored in a central location, and you are just given a visualization tool, like the thin client, to access information. Okay? And I'm telling you, the reason why it's actually getting popular today is because of that. It's data privacy.
Maybe I can address this to CCAP. It's like this. Well, of course, Mr. Gomez knows, and all IT guys here knows the traditional approach in terms of security. We have the DLPs, we have the firewalls, but it caters to hackers who are nuisance. Some are semi-professionals. Okay. How about stepping up on a bigger scale? Okay. Those are professionals or state-sponsored. Can CCAP help out the small and medium enterprise in terms of having solution that we can borrow, that we can test our system for those
Security measures.
non-traditional,
Non-traditional.
non-traditional, because they are really non-traditional. It's like, you know, it's there, but unfortunately you don't know
Yes.
because you don't have the tool. But if you have the tool, definitely you'll know that. It's just so happen, it's so expensive.
Yes.
So if can CCAP help us, the members, to have such kind of service, well, that will be great.
Yes,
That's all.
I will take that question. Being, again, one of the board of directors of CCAP and handling the membership committee, which includes affairs such, this is actually a very, very, very good idea, where we could actually collaborate with our big brothers, the big brothers BPOs, and come up with some documentation that we can assist our SME brothers and sisters in the contact center space, so that we can assist on those type of measures, security measures. I think it's a good idea. I know Butch Valenzuela is here, one of our board of directors, handling the SME group, handling the affairs of our SME contact centers, and myself. We will have a board meeting, I think, this Friday, and we will certainly take this up so we can assist and come up with those measures. And to add to that, Assistant Secretary Hieronymo C. had to leave urgently because he has a 7 o'clock meeting, but he wanted me to relay his heartfelt thanks that, of the warm welcome kanina. And he wanted me to tell you that he is planning to do a data security, cybercrime type of seminar for CCAP members and non-members as well, so that we are abreast with the updated information in terms of how to process, how to file, what are the penalties, all of these things. So we will be creating that seminar soon, not just with Assistant Secretary of the Department of Justice, but also our very good friends and allies in the NBI, so that we can dive deeper in all of this information. Because right now, I think, in my opinion, we have limited information on what's happening in the government and how they can help protect us. So this type of seminar will really benefit us all. So stay tuned for that. CCAP will be making announcements on that. So thank you, sir. I hope I answered your question, and I will take that up. Salamat.
Yeah, regarding this concern ni Jojo about the industry problem on cybercrime, I'm actually talking with some friends in the industry who are security heads of BPO companies, because we've been doing this in the banking industry about the blacklisting of erring employees doing crimes. So I was a former member of the Bank Security Management Association, because I was a former bank security director before. So we're doing this also. Now, I'm talking with some friends on the industry who are security heads of some BPOs, because we would want something similar. If CCAP has a procurement council, we're coming up with a security council. Now, this council will more or less tackle this type of concerns on the industry, because our industry is already big, very big, and contributes a lot to the economy. So definitely we must protect it. Otherwise, a lot of organized groups will take advantage. So for just lang. So inch by inch, I'm already talking with other friends in the industry who are also in the BPO.
So, Mr. Jong, can we nominate you to head our new committee in CCAP that can actually address that, called Security Council? So you can give us the tips, the pointers, and how you did it in the banking and financial institution industry. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for your support, for attending our membership meeting. Do let us know if there's any specific topic you want us to cover or invite in any of our membership meeting. And please watch out for some announcement through your emails about the activities we'll be doing. There are learning series we'll be conducting. And we're doing, by the way, I don't know if you received already my email in terms of doing our first half of the year industry report. So we're going to be asking information from members about how your growth rate, how many FTEs, the work. So we normally do a first half of the year performance or industry study. So please do support that. We needed that because the government would keep on asking us what's our projections, what's our numbers, so we can also prepare what initiatives and activities we'll be doing. So again, thank you for coming. Have a good night and see you in our next membership meeting.